win. So let's have a look at the offensive. See what the team's picking. And this is why, if you looked at the tweet that went out, the thumbnail was a Bastion. Bastion on Numbani. Okay. So, the problem with Bastion on Numbani, and the strength of Bastion on Numbani, is kind of back and forth. The problem with Bastion on Numbani is, Numbani, like I said before, is a map that rewards a lot of mobility, especially on first point. If you're trying to sort of take over high ground, you want to get out there as fast as possible and really punch your way through in a fast, mobile, and dynamic way. Bastion is not fast, mobile, or dynamic. He's none of those things, unfortunately, for him. It's a little bit sad, but he isn't really. So, why can Bastion be strong? Well, if everyone else dies forward, and if everyone else pushes forward, and you get a tiny bit of space and just set up on the high ground, you can kill the shit out of everything. If they don't address you quickly, then you can actually just kill everything. But it's such an unlikely situation that, being honest, Soldier 76 is a million times better. Because you're pushing through a narrow choke point that if you put a heal field down on, you can just... It just helps your team get through it. You have Helix rockets for burst. You're strong on high ground, so if you get up there anyway, it's really good. If you get an ultimate, it's very easy to just run out, fire ultimate, clear the point. You have a ton of options. Tons of options. And this is part of why Bastion doesn't really see that much play, is because he's Bastion. He's not mobile. This is ballsy. This is asking to be killed by Farah. Don't like this in the slightest. This is asking, like... This, by the way, this is exactly why you clear these things. Roadhog just right-clicked into that, and all of that right-click damage just went into clearing that little bit of barrier. That's why you clear those. That could have gone so badly for us. So, we spotted out the Roadhog. We know that there's a Roadhog controlling the high ground. Most of our team's pushing in main. A little bit unconventional, can be a bit suicidal, but honestly, not too big a problem. Team gets a nice pick. Okay, so that's advance forward. We do not want to be going that way. If we're... The last thing we want to try and solo is a Roadhog. This maneuver I actually kind of like, because their team just gets so focused on the push in main that we can just set up here. Ideally, the Roadhog should have realized, thinking emoji, there is a fucking Bastion trying to get somewhere. I need to deal with that. That's part of my responsibility to deal with that. He should just drop down behind you, left click, hook, left click, and you're dead. Luckily, he doesn't do that, and so we just freely set up on the point while no one's paying attention. And now, honestly, we can go where we like, and we can set up wherever we please. We could just run up these stairs, go onto the high ground, get set up there. We can just move to the right a little bit. We can move straight onto the point itself. We have just won. Because team pushed in, survived long enough, Bastion sets up, Bastion clears everything. It's kind of insane. Kind of crazy. Why shouldn't this work? This shouldn't work because if your team is just advancing through the middle, then they just stay on the high ground above, like up where I put the X, and then just like literally above the, where we are. They just stay up there and just shoot down at you. It's actually very hard for them. It's very, very hard for your team to just push in and make that work. The Reinhardt can sort of cover you for a while, but eventually the barrier will just go down. One of them might need to drop on the point to contest it for a second or two, but that's not a big problem, especially if they've got something like a Diva, which is perfect for that role. So if you're holding high ground and there's a Diva on your team, just let Diva drop down onto the point, hold right mouse button, no issues. Like, she can just survive on the point for ages. Then Reinhardt, you know, if he drops his barrier to swing at the Diva, then everyone's going to die. If he keeps his barrier up, then the point's just contested, it'll just get killed anyway. The team loses. So I think their team just got greedy or just got out of position, just foolishly dropped down, and then conceded the high ground. Your team just pushed through the middle. You got set up on the back lines, you started cleaning up. Insanity happened. The flanking Bastion, still the deadliest. The unseen Bastion is the deadliest, and now we can honestly play just sitting on the payload.
Good positioning.
I advise against trying to free range it too much. Like, at this sort of distance, the drop-off on Bastion's gun is notably huge. We have a lovely comp that we can actually just hide behind. We should just be on this payload. Don't stay on the top of the Doomfist, just because that's sort of exposing you, but yeah, we just want to be on this payload, making it move, making it roll forward, and making it impossible for their team to do anything. Especially if the Diva does something stupid like this and doesn't turn to face us, we can instantly punish it. And we should be killing that Justice. How we didn't kill that Justice, I don't know. So... we aren't Reinhardt, so swinging at this isn't too useful. Swinging at that thing in the air that isn't a mobile Farah, that would be kind of useful. Reinhardt just died. Mercy nearly died. Now Mercy's died. I'd say those two deaths are on your hands. That blood is on your dirty Omnic hands. Playing with us reconning it up, and honestly, just take it easy. You've got a pretty good hit scan weapon, you can just gun it down. Do not use your ultimate, for the love of God. Do not ult. Do not ult. Okay. I'd say moving forward here is a little bit of an error. Like, once those guys go down, I think we should just start peeling back and just get the... Like, the Pharah is engaging on 10 hit points, so punish that, but then just get the hell out of dodge. Like, most of your team is already dead. Solo Bastion, not going to do great. Bastion is not a hero that does well on his own. The only place where you're safe from Mercenary is directly on top of the Doomfist container. Well, there you go. That makes our life a hell of a lot easier. That makes our life stupidly easy. So honestly, we probably just want to hold on to this, Oh god! Oh man, he went off as well! Oh, I love the physics in this game. I love it when this happens. So if you aren't aware, the knockback from Roadhog Ultimate is proportional to the distance you are from him. So if he just puts his gun through at point blank range when he actually knocks the Reinhardt back, it launches him to the goddamn moon. If you manage to get the cone of it through, Reinhardt will go flying. And the Reinhardt had the misfortune to get knocked off. Bless him. Bless him. Unfortunately, he turned a corner into a McCree, so he just instantly dies. Yeah, it kind of happens. We did the right thing. We didn't try and do something insane, like try and get into tank mode or try and get into turret mode. That would be silly. Let's not stand in that. Let's just let that fly by. Good stuff. Using the point for cover. That said, I'm a little bit scared for us because the Hanzo is just going to ruin us. Case in point, Hanzo is ruining us, and they're just engaging ridiculously hard on us. Now might not be the worst time in the world to go tank. Especially if they want to try and engage on us. I don't think going turret here is the answer. Just because, okay, now that they've used Soundbarrier, tank is definitely on the cards. Although the D.Va's the problem. I don't think trying to find a turret mode here is the answer, though. We've got to wait... Whew, for the Hanzo to be dead, especially, because otherwise he's just landing free shots. Like, Hanzo and Roadhog have such an easy time killing us. We're just better staying mobile, holding down left mouse button and clearing stuff out. Let's put out the Mercy, go tank mode. Mercy's gone to the right, we still need to get that kill. Okay, she's come back. You don't kill this Mercy, we've got problems. Mercy's going for the res. This should be your target. This is absolutely your target. That was a big mistake. Okay. So that dies. They use another Dragon Strike. Again, that's partially our fault, because Hanzo's had an easy time building it up. So, with the transformation here, we should be prioritizing Mercy. Like, guaranteed she has Resurrect. Guaranteed she is a problem. We got a good shot here. We get her down to about half. Bastion's rockets do 200 damage on a direct hit, so they can one-shot people. And to me, Mercy does the most insane, batshit stupid thing she could possibly do, which is put herself in a position where you could just shoot this wall. You just shoot this wall, she's dead. You've killed Mercy, congratulations, now you can kill Zarya. Now the fight's basically won, they have no more sustain, no more healing, your team perhaps does, although we have just lost our Mercy somehow. We could get a lot done here. Even if you kill this Zarya, there's a good chance that she just gets picked up. Like, that positioning to me from Mercy was just, I am now scared for my life, I am hoping that this person dies, and then I can press Q and scoop up play of the game. Like, that's what this positioning says to me. I'm positioning myself in the middle of the fight so I can res. Turn, shooter. If she reses to stay alive, then you force out the res early. Okay, that's pretty good. You still eliminated the threat of the resurrect. If she doesn't do that, and she might not react in time, it's very unlikely she would, just blow her up, kill her. Congratulations. So I think we tunnel vision slightly here. Quick slap of coffee. Okay, team's regrouping. Like I said, this final corner, Numbani second phase, this is usually where we see the defenses happening. Let's say their team isn't very... their team lineup isn't very good, which is nice. Let's go back, let's make it so it's light so we can see it. Like, their team lineup in my mind has some major sustain issues. They are very tanky, but unfortunately for us, like, Bastion is good at tank busting, but he's not good at tank busting against D.Va and against stuff like Hanzo and Roadhog that can very easily just pull him around and just shoot him. We are basically free ultimates for Hanzo, is the big problem I'm seeing. And if he just puts a scatter down in front of us as well, scatter arrow will just wreck us, so a lot of problems. To counter this, your team badly does need a second support as well, which would be nice. I'd say either Zenyatta or Ana would work. Lucio would also, would also just be fine. It's just a general pick. But I'd say that Zen would probably work best. They have nothing to really flank onto you. The only threat you'd really be worried about is the Hanzo just sniping you off. So if you just stay tucked in the back, behind your Reinhardt, behind your tanks, you should be absolutely fine. Nothing else is really going to get to you. You just put Discord orbs on targets and let them die. I think that works quite nicely. I think the Bastion's going to run into issues as long as they have the D.Va and as long as they have the Hanzo. The big problem. The few times I usually pick Bastion over another DPS to react to a tank comp, in that situation I have the impression tank mode is actually a downgrade from turret mode. Considering how quickly the turret mode is able to kill tanks and barriers. You aren't wrong. Basically tank mode is a trade-off between burst damage to sustain damage. Sustain damage in turret mode is usually a lot better. It also gives you range. By the way, this Roadhog is just daft. I don't know what he's doing. Post-nerf, by the way, do not do this as Roadhog. This will not work anymore. This will absolutely not work anymore. No matter what, I think this Roadhog is just dead. So correct, I'm focusing in. To touch on the tank mode thing, the fact that you saw the Mercy there though, that's a good signal to use it. You notice the second we get set up, we have to move instantly because the Hanzo is just plugging us. Like, the Hanzo is just like going, oh, this is a target I can actually hit. It's a static immobile square. I can shoot that. And then he shoots it. This is where you go turret mode? Yes. Now you go mobile mode and hope that Reinhardt survived. He didn't. So, why do you go turret mode here? It's quite simple. D.Va can shoot as long as Reinhardt has his barrier up. So Reinhardt's stopping gun damage going through. You don't turn into turret mode, D.Va cannot shoot anymore. Because you will just Shrek the D.Va mech. So then she has to put defense matrix up. But if she puts defense matrix up, then he starts swinging. So D.Va runs out of good decisions, basically. The unfortunate side here is that the Hanzo is just waiting as well. So Hanzo gets the scatter, and then just gets a kill. D.Va ult gets used. Okay, fair enough. But okay.
It's okay if you just get one or two guys.
Heroes never die.
Res is used. That's an interesting res that I don't particularly agree with. Just because people are out of position. Good kill. Very bold McCree ultimate that somehow kills D.Va. I'm guessing she was out of mech. Okay. Kind of makes a little bit of sense, but still, this... He's very lucky Hanzo didn't just nail him. And I know it's a Hanzo, I know I'm expecting a lot, I'm expecting him to hit a fucking arrow, but strange things have happened. This will be fine. Like, we could have turned into turret form a little bit earlier here. Now that most of their team's cleaned out, most of the threats are gone, you can just turn into turret mode here and just clean this up. Turret mode is 0.5 seconds now, transformation, so don't be afraid to just spring into it, just gun someone down, spring out of it. It is very, very easy to bounce in and out and just change it up. Hello, Mercy. Goodbye, Mercy. Actually okay-ish with this. Just moving forward and securing this ground. Actually quite nice. There we go. That comes out, that goes away. There's no way they can take this from you. With the Roadhog dead, there's just nothing they can do. Roadhog had to get rid of you, basically, and he didn't. So hey, works out quite nicely. Get back on the payload. Again, still not keen on sitting on the Doomfist Gauntlet. Just, it puts us a little bit too high, where if we just on the side of it a bit more, then A, it covers us from one side, and B, we're just a little bit lower, tucked underneath the Reinhardt barrier. Okay, they don't necessarily agree with this tank change, although the Reinhardt smash makes it work. This would be a good point to rocket jump, by the way. So, why don't I agree with this change? Remember what we said earlier. Turret mode does more DPS. It does more outright damage. There is no real need to just start bursting things down, which is what the tank mode is good for. Also, I need to emphasize this to people. I need to emphasize this to people. When they use a defensive ultimate, that is not a signal to then use yours. That is a signal for you to wait about 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then use your ultimate. Okay, because they've just sound barriered. Don't press Q until the sound barrier wears off. You're shooting 800 hit point targets or 200 hit point targets. Take your pick. One of them is a bit better. So yeah. D.Va's just shredded. Actually a very hard still for them. Make sure you clear that D.Va out. Good job. Team's just playing around you, supporting you. Bastion, once entrenched, is pretty difficult to remove. That's a good way of doing it, though. Something is still contesting, by the way. Something is still contesting. You shouldn't be in turret mode. What the fuck was that? What? So we should be paying attention to stuff like this, where you see contested. This is a good cue. Like, you've just killed a bunch of people coming out of spawn. The reinforcements are going to come in slowly. And especially because we've just been forced off, we should be just trying to reposition, turn around, look at what the payload, what's happening on the payload, and clear that. I know it's important for us to count the doors, but you can see there's plenty of time. Plenty of time. Setting up behind it here is actually a lot nicer as well. There's just less ground for them to contest it with. Rather than standing in front of it. You also have the payload for cover from the spawn doors, which works a lot nicer. Okay. I think moving back here would have been better in just the short term, I guess, or mid term. Do pay attention to anything contesting it. There's no point stopping what's coming out the doors if no one's clearing the point and you're still on the point going, well, someone else can do it. No, you can do it. You can do it just fine. Very hard to kill Mercy, probably because I suck, haha. Mercy's actually, if you're playing Genji, Mercy's actually a little bit tricky. She's very slender. Even though I called her plump earlier, she's actually quite slender.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, what are we running? Like I said, this man played everything, so... The Junkrat. Please no. Oh, thank God. Okay, Lucio. There we go. Junkrat is really bad at attacking Numbani. Okay at defending Numbani, actually. Okay at defending Numbani. Junkrat is very, very strong when defending from high ground to low ground. The second Junkrat has to attack from low ground to high ground, Junkrat becomes a bit trash. Just a bit. He actually becomes a lot trash. He lives up to his name. He's junk. He's shit. He's terrible. He works okay-ish. But what should happen is the enemy team just stops pushing through the narrow doorway that you're spamming through and then just goes the opposite direction. And then they just kill the Junkrat because he can't confirm kills. Be very careful when playing Lucio of leading, especially coming out on Numbani. I will say this much. The amount of times that an arrow or like people, myself included, love to just shoot rockets, arrows, you name it, Widowmaker shots, just into this, like literally this bit of ground here. Because most of the enemy team just barrels through there without really paying much attention. And if you're leading the charge, then you're just going to eat an arrow to the forehead and you're just going to go down and die. And that's kind of bad. So try and just out of courtesy, just make sure your tanks lead. Okay, Rodog's gone off on his own. We can't be doing this. We're Lucio. We should be in a group. Like we're not using our hero. Now we're using our hero. You guys are really going to want to get a D.Va for this. I'm actually fine with us doing this though. Like, glad someone did this. It'd be kind of the tracer. You pull it off. Now, one of the reasons why, oh Jesus, Numbani point A is so hard to take is because there's actually a bit of a defender's advantage. The spawn distance for the attackers and defenders is relatively similar. The only advantage you have as the attackers is that you have multiple little pathways you can really take to get onto the point, so you can come at it from several different angles. Good job getting on it. Just get behind it as best you can so you're hiding from the Bastion. This is the power of Reinhardt. Yeah, so trading, like, if this was King's Row and you guys traded a couple of kills for the Bastion, and maybe one other, like if you went to, you know, if it was... It finished the fight and they had 4 people up and you had 0. Like, and it was just a quick death. that would actually be okay-ish, because you respawn fast, you'd be able to just push out very, very quickly, just speed boost your way out, try and get back into the fight as fast as possible, and they'd still be trying to get back, just due to spawn distances. Numbani, it's a lot more equal, so it doesn't quite work. You see the Bastion's pretty much already back, and he died a couple of seconds later than we did, so he's pretty much taken him the same amount of time as a speed boost in Lucio to get back to the point and start causing problems. I'd say that the attack angle here was just terrible. Pushing in main is not where you ever want to start a push. The only reason that you will go main on Numbani... So, imagine if instead of coming out here on the first point, you just all advance out here. What the fuck's this Bastion gonna do? He can't shoot up here very well unless people poke over, and you could just poke down and shoot down for as long as you guys like. You could take your time with it. No problem. You could just wait for Roadhog to get a hook, you could wait for Tracer to get into the back and start causing issues, then drop down. You could do a lot from that high ground. You have such a huge advantage in terms of just being able to step back and heal back up and then step forward and start fighting again. They have no chance to do anything. I hate the fact that you guys started out and pushing mid, because the way that they are defending is terrible. Any other direction, like if you went this way, or even if you went all the way around, which I think is like a very, very risky idea, that would have still worked better. Going mid was just literally going straight into the firing line of a machine gun, and you guys got ripped to shreds, and there's no shock that it happened. Like, it's very predictable. And I'd say, like, part of it is just, you know, I think you got a little bit unlucky and had some very stubborn individuals. So if we go over here, like, I think it's the Roadhog who ends up sort of peeling off this way.
Left, right, left, right. Left.
You call left, and then people double back right. Honestly, just fuck the Roadhog. But honestly, like, especially decisions like that should be done in spawn as well. Just to stop something like this happening, just say, okay guys, we're going to go in, we're going to go left. I'm going to go take high ground. I do like the speed boost around. Honestly, I think once you've started to commit to this pathway, the best thing you can do is just speed boost and just try and get past the Bastion. And like hope that everyone else is just running in and doing the same, because you cannot stay and fight there. There's no way you win that. So I'm fine with the push in. Like, you don't have time to piss around. See, I'm in front of you. Slayer PK. Shouting the orders. Not getting the work done. Feels bad, man. Okay. Full hull for 1 minute 37, 1 minute 40. Again, crossfire defense, probably still the best way to do this. I've seen teams these days actually even completely omitting the crossfire part and just putting everyone on the fire balcony and just defending around that. Can be a little bit difficult to remove it. The danger is you give up the high ground on the opposite side, and that's kind of sad, bad, sad. Natural silver aversion to supports, I see. If you're in this situation, solo Lucio, not the answer. I'd actually say Lucio's pretty weak at defending this point. Mercy works a lot better and she can bounce back and forth. Anna works better and she can just stay up here and just grenade any dive that comes in and then just hope that the team can help her. Even Zenyatta can just sort of stay up here, throw out some orbs, and then just tuck away a little bit farther back and just hope that, you know, just poke his nose out every now and then. Lucio has this problem where Lucio has the aura, and at any given time, it's very unlikely that everyone's going to be in that. So I'm hoping to see Lucio swap. I don't see it working. Bro, do you have a mic?
I think I'll stay on the high ground.
Correct decision. I'm okay with you being here as well. A little bit blind, but it's quite likely that they're going to push upper. Considering that they pushed upper last time pretty heavily and had some had a pharmacy coming through middle, like standing out here or over here with the long sight lines, it's not going to do any justice. So staying on the corner here is perfectly fine. Looks like we are running the mono Lucio. Do not like the fact that the Reinhardt's just standing on the point. What is Reinhardt defending? What is Reinhardt going to do if they just walk out up here? What's he going to do? He's going to do nothing. He's going to die. He's going to be a chump. If he was up here, he could just smack him once or twice with a fire strike through. Put a couple of shots into him. There's the pharmacy. This is a lack of faith in your team. Major lack of faith in your team. Your team's playing around you. Once the Zarya bubble went in, we can just stay here safely. Just gun down the farm. Like, the pharmacy is just badly out of position here. You would have no problem just killing that. And then you get completely lost in the Mercy. Feels bad, man. And so they dive you. You should have just stood your ground. Part of it is just understanding how much damage you can do compared to how much damage they can do. So when you see this coming in, just stand your ground and just try and gun away. Like, what is transforming going to do if no one supports you anyway? So think of it like there's kind of 3 outcomes here. You stand your ground, or 4 outcomes maybe. Like, let's go over each one. So stand your ground, and no support. Let's just go with no sup. No support. Conclusion: you died. Number 2, stand your ground, and you have support. Conclusion: you win. There's no way that these two beat you. You just gun both. You gun down the Pharah, you turn, you gun down the Mercy. They can't do anything. They're floating out in the middle of nowhere. They're dead. Number 3, you move, and you get no support. Well, during the time you're transforming, you've taken another rocket. During the time you've turned and started to shoot, your DPS is lower than the pharmacy. They just kill you. You lose. Situation 4, you move and get support. This one's a bit iffy, but what will happen is that your DPS output is lower, and therefore the pharmacy has more chance to survive, more chance to do things, they have more time to get out and actually kill stuff. It's much less likely, I'd say, that you win. So out of all these options, just staying still, hoping your team reacts, maybe hoping to get a trade, like in this situation, it's also quite likely in 1 and 2 that you just trade for the Pharah, could be worthwhile. I think in these situations, it's extremely unlikely that the situation is positive, and we get kind of lucky here that, you know, their focus is slow enough to where they don't actually react properly, and our Pharah lands a rocket on theirs, and so it's just enough damage to get the kill there, but then the Mercy and Gengu come in, get the kills. Recon mode loses Ironclad as well. True enough. I never really factor in Ironclad. You can tell I'm not a Bastion player. I play Soldier 76. Because he's better. Kind of no way around it. We should be shooting. Mercy, 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 Mercy. At this distance, like, you've got to, at this kind of range, you are a constant annoyance, at least to small targets. To Rhino Barry is just still a fucking nightmare. When you see a Pharah like this on her own, I'd honestly just keep shooting and then just try and move maybe into here. Or just move on to the point to get the contest. I don't think setting up camp here is actually a good idea. Because at this distance, your DPS output will probably be very similar in recon mode and turret mode. We do not do a huge amount of damage to small targets. We're good for cleaning up and just like doing constant nicking damage, but nothing major. At least not to anything that isn't a barrier. As such, they get set up and the Pharah just lands a couple of easy rockets on us. We get killed. Feels bad, man. Bastion's size, once again, lets him down. Team managed to get back on the point, reclaimed it. We go back to the soldier. Way, we're mobile. We can move. The old man can actually run around. Want to be very careful about leaving the point here, so honestly, I would not trust my teammates, and I would just stay... I wouldn't come this far forward. I would just be staying probably around here, on this corner edge. Just because I think these guys are ridiculously clumped, and just so you can just punish from a slightly different angle. And be very, very leery, as well, of running out in front of this pathway here, because this is where you're going to get picked off. Like, their team has to come to you at this point. You should definitely be prioring the Mercy. It's a bit of a shame we didn't get more damage in there. I think our Pharah dropped a barrage there as well and just didn't do anything with it, I guess. There is a D.Va on the point. Focus on clearing the point first. Whatever's off point has to come onto the point. So, and especially something small and fiddly like this D.Va, this is part of our job as Soldier 76. We have the reliable DPS, we can clean stuff like this up. We should be doing that. I don't think we should be worrying about this stuff coming in at the moment, just because if you kill this D.Va, the overtime would already be ticking down. This Reinhardt wouldn't be able to advance forward with his barrier up like this. That means your Reinhardt could do that. This should be a win now. Or a draw. Woo! Draws! Draws on Numbani. Okay. What do I think went wrong with this game? Why is this a draw and not a victory? First things first, you swap too much. I said this recently in the Coach of the Many I did about like hero switching. This is a case of overswapping, a bad case of overswapping. I want to go through very quickly, like let's look at play of the game, then I'll go through very quickly on the offense, and let's look at how many ultimates we actually use. I think the answer is 1, maybe 2, maybe 0. I love the fact, by the way, that this makes me vanish because it goes all green. I just like and disappear. This was a disgusting use of ultimates by their team. Roadhog decided to join in and press Q for no clear reason. They only needed one of those. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go through this. Okay, and we're just going to very quickly... okay, that isn't working. I don't want it to do it like this. This looks really stupid. Why is it doing that? I don't know. I'll tell you what, normal speed, speed 2. So, just very, very quickly, let's jump forward, Game starts, playing Winston. And if you remember, we swapped off Winston pretty much immediately. Did a good job tunneling the Mercy. Get the Mercy, should have probably jumped back towards the high ground maybe, just to get set up once again instead of staying on the point. Would have been nice, just cutting off the angle. 30%, and then we swap. And we go Soldier. And I think we get attack Visor and we end up holding on to it for a good while. If I remember right. So it's jump forward. So we get the kills. We get our ultimate, and then we don't use it. Because basically they have a D.Va up and that's shutting us down pretty badly. We have no tank, we can't push back against their team effectively. The Roadhog's just walking forward, getting kill after kill after kill. We spot him on the high ground. This will be a good opportunity for us to rotate through to the left and just take the high ground for ourselves. Just be able to contest him by just staying away from this door, then he can't come out, and so he's sort of stuck in there, rather than going around here and contesting him at close range where he's strong rather than we're strong. We end up just standing around in this area. Roadhog comes around, drops down, gets a hook on us, gets a kill on us, helps kill the Mercy as well. We still haven't used this ultimate. Roadhog time! And then we're sort of stuck. They managed to take the point, we advance to the high ground, there's a Roadhog there, we're a little bit scared, rightfully so, and then our entire team arrives, so now we can go aggressive, we get the kill, we drop down, we fire off the ultimate, we decide to focus Genji instead of Mercy, Genji kills us. D.Va wasn't even in position, we could have just run onto their support to kill them, we swap after dropping the ultimate, and I think that is our single ultimate for this game. We get to 50%, and then we decide to swap, don't have an ultimate again. We get Slayer PK, very angrily typed, "Where is Mercy? LOL!" The man playing Reaper, calling out bad team comp, apparently. Bing! Just silver things. And then we don't have a chance to build up ult. Get to 70%, they ult us, we lose. And we never get a chance to get their ultimate. Now, in the average game, I would say that most people tend to build ultimates about once every 2 minutes. Maybe once every 1.5. So you're generally looking at about an ultimate per minute of about 0.6, 0.7. Depends on the hero, of course. If you're Tracer, you're looking more like 1 per minute. If you're playing Lucio, it's more like 1 per 3 minutes. But generally I have the number floating around in my head about once every 2 minutes. Once every 2 or 3 fights. We only had one fight, though, where we could bring an ultimate to the table. They had fights where they brought multiple ultimates to the table, and this is the danger of constantly swapping, where we just end up swapping and swapping and swapping and swapping and swapping, and we never have that big power spike, that big advantage we can put forward and actually use. Now, part of that was, there was just a dodgy team comp in play as well, where we had nothing to stop the Roadhog just running around advancing forward. In theory, the Reaper should be able to do it, but if the Reaper has no protection in front of him, he's just running forward, D.Va's blocking him, Roadhog's hooking him, he can't do anything, he has to wraithform away, doesn't do shit. The Reaper was a terrible pick here, especially without a Reinhardt or a D.Va or something to cover him. In theory, the Zarya might be able to, but I don't think Zarya does it reliably enough to make it work. Yeah. Otherwise, on the defensive, like with Bastion, we just want to be very careful about our positioning. Be very wary of going into turret mode against targets like Hanzo, against targets like Pharah as well. Anything that relies on projectiles, which is have a fucking field day shooting you every time you go into turret mode. So when you're doing it, make sure you're doing it, bursting something down and then getting out of it. Or make sure you're staying in turret mode when you're on top of a payload, for example, and just staying on the payload, have massive damage to boost you, and just coast forward for as far as you can possibly make that work. Once you get displaced, then it's probably time to swap to Soldier 76 more than anything. And I know I've just said, you should swap less, but on this attack, we had a big period of time, like after the first point was taken, where we were just doing very, very little. We have our tank mode. We start advancing forward. Get rid of the D.Va. Gonna really kill that Pharah in the air instead of focusing on the mini D.Va. We can clean that up in a second or two. Just let's get rid of the static Pharah. Who doesn't like hearing Pharahs going, "Justice reigns from ah!" And then at this point, like, I think this is the moment where you realize either A, I'm going to dump my ultimate, I'm just going to press Q and kill stuff and then swap, or, like, honestly, at this point, I'd say just swapping will be fine. Rhino gets blasts off again, gets launched into orbit, feels bad, man, and goes through. And this is where, honestly, I would probably say press Q at this point. Like here, maybe. Rather than going to turret mode, just press Q and just try and scoop up 1 or 2 kills, and then if you die, you die. If you don't die, get on the payload. You've killed a couple of them. You probably force out the sound barrier, which is fine. And then you just advance from there. We get this poor target focus, like I said. Would have killed the Mercy. I definitely think staying on Bastion past this point was foolhardy. Soldier would have just worked way better and just retaken it. Okay, I think now's a good time for questions. Let's take questions about Numbani, about heroes in general. I'm going to load up Overwatch, and I'll see you guys in a minute or two. Woo! Edit point.